Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. This is Grand Arena, the first match of Season 49. And we begin this season about a third of the way into Kyber 2, which is more of a testament to how high I had climbed in Kyber 2, where I got about a match away from Kyber 1 than it says about my recent performance, which has been a little rough because we got pretty outmatched the past couple of weeks, but things are looking a lot better to start this season. It's a quick recap of how the last week of the final season went. I went over. We just had reached a bracket where my stuff stopped working, where my counters stopped. Where I was weaker on datacrons, weaker on mods. Like, we were basically going up against Kyber 1 rosters, and that's what we see here. I had pretty good run up against my opponent to start this first round, but I couldn't match up with his banner finish where he was just way more efficient. We both one-shot each other. It was very strong play, but just not good enough. And round 2, this one went poorly, where it starts out fine, standard stuff, but things start to spin out of control as we enter the back wall, where I made some poor choices. I think the biggest poor choice was using Sith Eternal Emperor here up against Seer Malgus. This is a team I probably could have picked apart, or I could have used JML differently, not using JML up against Traya. That's another team I could have considered picking apart. And instead, I used Third Sister hoping to beat Malgus, but this doesn't go well. And then I just start churning through teams in order to account for that strategic error, and nothing really starts working, and I stall out. I just keep trying stuff, and I just don't have anything at that point that can handle this back wall Malgus. And then Fleet kind of blows up, where my counters weren't working, and then that just forced me into making some difficult choices. And final round, I don't think I posted this one. This one got into jawas. You're going to see one of these battles here. Was it this one? One of these blue stacks crashed on me. I think it was this Sith Eternal Emperor one. This should have worked, crashed, and then I was already compromised at that point, where I didn't really have enough other counters to this level of strength that his defense required of me, and I wasn't really going to touch that. But because of this, we've now shifted to a bracket that is much more favorable for me. And this week, I think I got a shot at 3-0. Feeling pretty good about it. My first opponent, Lone Star here, I think it's Lone Star. We're about the same with overall GP. He's much lower on Zetas though. I've got like 90 on him. Amis, he's pretty low at 17. GLs, he's fine at 7. But it's really more about who he's missing. Relic units, he's strong. Depth is okay. Relic distribution, he's not that different than me. Most of his additional relics are in tier 5, which means I don't really have a concern of being overpowered or outmassed like I was a week ago. Mods, you can see I have a slight advantage on the top 25, a more meaningful advantage in the top 500. You can see in the counts, those advantages are somewhat small. He's fairly well modded. I'm just a little stronger. But in terms of the whole bracket, I'm second in the top 25 average. And with the top 500 average, I am first. So this is more what I'm used to. Whereas the end of the last season, I was one of the worst modded squads. Now I'm arguably the best modded squad. And that's just the difference that you see between the top of Kyber 2 and the bottom of Kyber 2, and me, I'm more of a third of the way into Kyber 2, but still closer to the back half than the top. Now, datacrons, I've got the best datacrons of the bracket, and my opponent is pretty strong. It looks like most people are strong, but the last set expired, and with that, there's just everybody has got less of everything. I would say my opponent probably takes datacron seriously from what we can see here. He does not have Leia. Everybody else is at Relic 7 except for JML, who is at Relic 9. In terms of the rest of the bracket, 2 players without Leia. There's one other 5GL player here who is without Jabba, Lord Vader, and SLKR. And in terms of the Omicrons, just a quick look at it. I'm number 1 in Omicrons. There is one player at 25, one less than me. Most players in that 20 range. Now, looking at the particulars of the Amis, my opponent's got a solid Malgus. An okay Starkiller, well modded, 298 speed. It's got dash, his Wampa looks fine. There is no Aphra, and you can see this bracket only has 3 Aphras. So this is one of the more weaker Aphra brackets we've seen of late. There's a lot of players not really engaging with their Swolos, which I think is a massive mistake. Zoris here are all over the place. Half the bracket with Third Sister, half without. Everybody's taking CRex seriously, which is good. 2 players without Malgus, my opponent being 1. And then the rest of these characters all look pretty good. Only 2 players with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. My opponent does have Leviathan at 7 stars, but the Profundity is only at 5. Everybody with everything, but there are some differences in star levels on the fleets. Looking at the particulars of my opponent's modding, we're going to look out for the Starkiller since his Starkiller's at 298 speed. This is one of those matches I did record in advance of doing my voiceover. So we're going to set this up by speed to get a sense of the quality of the modding. And over here, the TIE Fighter pilot is the last character at 300 speed. So he's got 25 characters modded at that level or higher. I'm above 30. I forget exactly how many I have, but I've got a slight advantage in that area. Now looking at the defenses, he did attack first. You can see that he only did 1 battle so far. And usually when we see something like that, it's a pretty good sign that this opponent's not going to participate and I'm going to win by default. Sometimes there's nothing to be drawn from it. He did that thing where I think he took out Grievous, but I did put Datacrons on everybody. That is something I try to make sure I do when a set expires, is to at least make sure every team that used to have a Datacron or that can have a Datacron has something, even if it doesn't work out for them or even if there isn't synergy. What I'm trying to do is at a minimum make sure they have the stat boost, because that stat boost can be pretty meaningful, because we don't always, like right now we have the light side dark side synergy where we can place those on, but sometimes we get dark side only sets or light side only sets, and I'm still putting Datacrons on when they don't. Now you can see my opponent didn't do that, and that's going to help me out. So we're looking at Starkiller. We got a JML, Bast lead JML, and we got Ray. I didn't do advanced scouting. I kind of wish I did. All right, I don't know exactly what thought I left off on before we got catted. We might put another Loth cat in the thumbnail because of that, and that's not a major mess up. She put her paw on the keyboard and minimized things. But you can see we got a Jabba, a Lord Vader, we've got JMK, Third Sister, and Malgus, which this is a solid defense. But we've got some counters, and Leia, there's no Leia to be concerned with. Although if we would have done some advanced scouting, I probably would have set a different defense to prepare a little bit more for what his offense has to offer. Plus, I'm going to make some calls here that I'm just strategically not the best. I just kind of forgot. Like, this happens the first week of every season where you just got to remember and remind yourself how to play the old matches. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And we've got a Kron, so we've got a major advantage here. We're going to jump to full screen. We'll jump to full screen after this. I don't want to do the cut right now because the next scene isn't set up properly. But this is one where without characters like Maul or Third Sister around Lord Vader, we're not going to have any issues. And we got to fix this camera. And it just takes a moment, but this is not as quick and easy without the extra Omicrons, but I've looked at 000 and BT1's Amis a number of times just to always check, am I sure I don't want to put them on? And every time I look at them, I just don't think they are worth it. I don't get this. There's plenty of room for her to lie down, and she wants to you don't mess up the wires. Okay, now we got our anti-revive Kron, which is going to make quick work out of Chrysanthemum. We take him out. It's not like we have to deal with like a good Bosch here though, so it doesn't really matter. This is going to be an easier counter. And a few hits. Bosch will go down pretty soon. Just gotta wait for that damage immunity to come off. Because of the damage, we are gonna hit the ultimate, at least get a little protection up. Take out Bosch. Throw the damage immunity and reset onto Cat. Couple hits. Jabba's got the damage immunity. We'll just wait a moment. It'll come off quickly. And there we go. So 2 GLs down. And we've got 3 to go, I think. And I'm going to play this poorly. I remember this one already. So I'm looking at it. I see that they got Plo. They got a Datacron that I don't remember if I checked it, but it was fairly weak. I had light side. I had the offense stacking. I felt like this was going to be pretty strong for me. Let Cat do her thing and waste the one-shot ability. But I think just strategically, I left Master's training off because I was trying to get to the ultimate more quickly. And I think that's going to be one of the mistakes here. Also, there might be a modding issue. I haven't looked at the specific modding on his JMK squad, but I think overall he probably had the advantage. Because so far things are going fine, and I think I don't have much to worry about. But I do think that maybe focusing on the ultimate prevented me from taking out some of these characters when I could have or should have. Because like we got close to taking out Plo, and now we've lost JMK. He probably had an offense stacking mod himself for them to take out Jedi Knight Luke that quickly. But this is the first big problem of this match, where I am limiting myself with the types of JMK counters that we've got available. And now I'm in a position where I'm not accomplishing any goals. I'm too slow, we don't have Master's training, and we mess up a winnable match. And we've compromised myself with the amount of GL counters that we have. Now, Sith Eternal Emperor, my Watt's on defense, so he's not an option, which means... So now I'm looking at this match, and I make a bad call here. Because Sith Eternal Emperor is a newer character for me. It's not how I usually deal with this kind of match. I just thought this was going to go one... No, you know what happened? This was a Jawa. Jawas got involved here, I believe. I think BlueStacks is going to crash on me. Yeah, I think that's what happened, because this video is about to end. Because I recorded this match in 2 batches, and that's what happens here. We're going to have BlueStacks crash and mess this up, which is going to make things even more problematic for me. Yeah, we'll let this go. You'll see what happens. So we link... And we're just trying to do a little work to get to that ultimate. I'm going to put protection back on everybody, keep them alive a little bit longer. Drain life. Things are looking good. One guy down. Trip the ultimate. Things seem fine. We're gonna blast. Now we are set up for a cleanup. So now I'm just going to auto and let this time out. I think we are gonna jump ahead right now though, because you guys don't need to see like even 3 minutes accelerated of this. We'll just kind of skip forward. And I think I messed up the media player a little bit. Yeah. And it crashes. So I returned to the match. Now I messed up a battle and I lost a battle to the Jawas, and unfortunately that means two battles up against Galactic Legends and using up GLs and GL counters. So now we gotta look at these other matches. I'm not gonna be able to find a thumbnail with a Lothcat and a Jawa, right? Probably doesn't exist. Now we're gonna do Starkiller up against Ray. I have been made aware of a certain comp, at least in 5v5, that Starkiller is very weak against. It is a Jedi comp. You can see it on SWGOH. I may have even seen it, I think, during last season at some point once. But in general, this is a strong counter. L3 is kind of annoying. But he makes it take longer. He risks a timeout if things go poorly, but it's fine. So there I do the Dispel, but it doesn't last long enough. Dispel again. Land a bunch of Shaaks. Now we had already tripped a couple damage immunities, so I go for that. We don't have to worry about Swolo. So there was nothing I really needed to time too much there. Now I want to just get rid of L3 because damage immunity is already tripped, and she's super annoying. So I want to eliminate her as quickly as possible so we don't have to deal with any of that nuisance. Swordy's almost dead with the damage immunity triggered. There we go. Not bad at all. But now we have an issue with, we need to find a way through some GLs. Now there's a way to get through this. Now we're going to do Jabba here. That's what I'm eventually going to come to the conclusion to use Jabba. I think I was considering Malgus there. Because he doesn't have Leia, I don't need to use Jabba elsewhere. But I could have considered Jabba up against JML because Jabba is a very strong JML counter. So we're going to get into this a bit. Focusing on Plo because I'm going to use Rancor to eat Cat. At least that's how I'm thinking about it as I watch this. I'm not sure if that's how I played it. We throw it to work towards the payout and to take out Plo. Protection up. We missed the disarm, which is annoying. And now that's a problem. Losing Bosch is a problem. But we know we can at least eliminate Cat, and we're in a cleanup position. So Rancor should be showing up soon. One more until Rancor. I need to up a lot of the stuff on this. Up the relics. Get more 6-dot mods. That's something that I need to do with everything. But you know, we got limited resources. I think I usually do a mirror up against JMK, but we don't see JMK on defense too often. So this will time out. Because without Bosch, we're not going to have a way to do enough damage up against JMK. Not with the time available. Really, we're kind of hoping on offense stacking enough where we could take him out, but there's just not enough time left for that. Not with him being able to recover like he does. There's no risk of us losing, but there's not a chance to win. But we do have some cleanups available, and one underused cleanup is Wampa. Because I have tried to test Wampa in cleanup situations, in these solo one-on-one solo situations, and I think Wampa only works up against Sith Eternal Emperor and JMK cleanup. He definitely loses to JML and Rey. I think he loses to SLKR, but I can't remember doing a solo up against that. And Jabba, he just doesn't do enough before he gets Rancored. And Leia, I think I did do it up against Leia. But there were Krons around. He did okay. But eventually what happens with Leia is she gets to the ultimate. I do wonder, though, if Krons weren't on Leia, if Wampa had a chance. Because that was more recent testing up against the Drogon Kron. So this takes a minute to ramp up, but it works. We'll get there. So what kind of nonsense can we cover? We can cover, what, the Oscar nominations? Which, I think what I've been thinking about in terms of Oscar noms is, am I just older now that I don't care? Or is it that everybody doesn't care? Like, I wonder if, like, do younger people who are, like tweens, because I think that's probably when I cared the most, do younger people at that age care at all? And is it something you age out of, or is just we just as a society don't care anymore? Because it's not just the movies that are nominated or not nominated, because that's always been an issue. So I'm less focused on that. All right, so this couple things here. One, this works at least in softening him up in 5v5. In 3v3, I wanted to see if he can just outright win up against Malgus. So we're doing a little bit of testing here, because I know I am going to, at a minimum, set myself up for a cleanup, which I probably shouldn't have done, but it's what I wanted to see. So we lose Bastila, but I can take out Malgus now. And now I need to see if I can take anybody else out. We've got some stacking offense. I believe that's what I got. So we throw up Retribution, and we're countering. I'm going to throw down an Armor Shred. And now I'm going to get Retribution back up. The evasion's not helping. We got him into the yellow. We got 3 armor shreds, but then we're down. Which, that was too bad. And now I got to try and find a way to clean this up. And the problem with Revan and Bastila combo, there's not really even cheap cleanups here. They're going to be a tough squad in any event. But we got third sister. We're going to Traya third sister. In 3v3, this is usually pretty strong. We're going to start with the basic because there's not enough debuffs on the field. I want to make sure the drain life is more effective so we can get to the annihilate faster. Take out 7th quick. We're doing some big damage with Salvage right now. Increase the cooldowns. Rip out 8th brother. Annihilate. And we're good. That works fine. Now we need to find a cleanup. We're going to do troopers. That's at that right level where it's not too strong, but I know it's going to work. Because what I don't like doing is eating up a strong team that I might need on the back wall. But they are valuable counters. It's a fine 2-shot. Got Inquisitor, Shaak, Bad Batch, Crew, and what was that? Night Sisters. Now with Shaak T, I go with Nest, but this was always iffy, and maybe I need to increase relics on Nest. Other thing here is I didn't look closely at who the sides were, because this one does have 5s and 5s. Is that relic 6? It's not a major problem. They don't have Krons. I've got a Kron, so I felt like I had a shot at this. I think I'm gonna auto at some point. But I feel like Nest might be a character I want to take to higher relics, so that she can be more of a threat and take on some of these other squads. Now that every relics across the board are increasing. There's no Ami for Nest, right? Not in another game mode. I'd like Nest to have an Omicron that kind of boosts her up a bit. I think it's time or close to time. I don't want her to disappear in value. Kind of like with Salvage, where Salvage had an awesome Zeta for a certain period of the game, which a lot of players may not have even experienced. And then Salvage became irrelevant after just the power creep. And then the Omicron comes around and makes Salvage super relevant again. I think a lot of us are just throwing Nest on to defense. But this is something where if I had Kira or Hermit Yoda, this would have been fine. Kind of surprised they were able to take out Nest at all. I thought it was more of a timeout risk than just a straight loss. But we're starting to see now with some of these drop battles, I need to be a little bit more careful. Now we're using Kira with Hondo. Hondo's another character I want to take to like Relic 7. All these characters that can be this level of a threat, I want stronger. So we're working on 5s. This should be completely safe. I want everybody to die because they supercharge Hondo. Get a couple hits there. Nobody really has the damage to take out Hondo at this point. They don't have the control to which can cause problems for Hondo. I'm just going to get supercharged. Once we hit 50 stacks, we're going to be a huge threat. Throw the capture. There we go. There's 5s. Now the rest just falls apart. Now with a couple of these next parts here, Qui-Gon mirror. If you have Kelleran, you can win a Qui-Gon mirror, and your opponent doesn't. Kelleran's just awesome. I really want him to be farmable. I want more stars on him because he's not a damage threat. But he makes everybody else so much better that it doesn't matter. The squad becomes so much more survivable. And with that assist call, like, it doesn't matter that you have low stars on Kelleran himself. Just like, if you should be using your Kelleran. He's awesome. But you can see, like when we pull up the screen, you'll see what teams I have left. And we're looking at Gas. We got Grand Inquisitor. We got like, we're at some pretty weak teams. Losing those GLs, like if those GLs went a little bit differently, we'd be in a much better position. Now I'm gonna try something here. And I'm gonna mess this up. I had R2. For some reason, it's not for some reason, because I'm used to now in 5v5 not bringing in R2. I intentionally leave R2 off of my Leia team so that I can use him with JTR Swolo, and I forgot about it. I was just so used to the 5v5. These are the mistakes that happen in the first match of a new season. You fall into certain habits, and I forgot that I intentionally leave R2 available in 3v3, which would have made this go so much better. Because one of the things you're going to start seeing is I'm going to be stun locked a lot. And that stun lock is going to cause some problems. And R2 wouldn't have completely solved it because DACA can stun 2 people at once, but R2 would have helped a lot. Yeah. So I think we have 2. We've knocked out DACA twice now, or once. I wonder if I should have went after Asajj for... No, I wanted the armor shreds on DACA. But now without Visas, things are a little tough. But you can see, like, that almost one-shot ability with Swolo, it's not working as well anymore. The stacking health on DACA is starting to be a problem. Even though we can circumvent the protection, we're not really doing enough damage up against the health pool, which is probably a reason well, the thing is, it doesn't matter going after Saj because Taka will bring Saj right back. But I was hoping this was going to be able to do something. I thought we could quickly take out Daka before things sped up too much. But it doesn't really work the way that I hoped. And I was hoping that the armor shreds were going to negate some of the stacking health, like it does in some of the match. What match was that? Oh, you know what? It was I used to do Night Sisters in 5v5 against Qui-Gon, and it was usually pretty safe, but one of the risks was Ki-Adi-Mundi putting armor shred onto Daka. So that's why I thought these armor shreds could have helped negate some of what was going on, and it just doesn't. And now it's over. But now that we're running out of teams, I'm just going to take things a bit more seriously and try and churn through this. I want to clear what I can. Do what damage I can. So I'm just going to gas it and not worry about it. Yeah. All right, he's gone. Now we got Bad Batch. What am I going to do with this? We still got a CRex squad. I can move my head out of the way. Maybe not. Alright, we need to just jump forward because I do not want to cut out all the periods of not speaking in these. This is going to be strong. We're going to rip this apart. We're not done taking multiple attempts against some of the teams that are left, but the goal now at this point is let's just get through this and wrap this up. I don't want to play anymore. Oh, we're going to do a little bit of testing. I remembered I want to do a little bit of testing. We bring in Mando, GROGU, and Paz. We do have more stars on Paz. I was hoping that was going to help. You can see they almost take out GROGU, which is a little scary. We're going to do a little Dispel. What I was trying to do there was it's supposed to heal the weakest, and I thought I forgot to consider GROGU. And I was hoping it was going to heal Mando and heal Paz. But I didn't factor in GROGU. Really, since he has so few stars, I should just be clicking on GROGU for that ability. Paz goes down quick. But you can kind of see here that if I had full stars, this probably works. We're doing a lot of damage. And if we didn't lose GROGU, I think we eventually win this. I think 7-star GROGU would have been enough. Relics we definitely win. But I think 7-star GROGU is enough. I am done with stars on Paz now. GROGU is at 5 stars. I haven't promoted them all the way, but in terms of the amount of farming that's been done. Alright, this is going to work fine. This beats Riva, so this should work here. Now in 3v3, we're not getting as much help from the Ami, but I still wanted to go with it. Get a few assists. Once we get through 9th, this is just going to open up. And 9th is getting closer to falling apart. We also have stacking offense going on, or at least I think we do. And there we go. 9th is down, so the rest of this is going to just open up. And they will fall down easy. We'll do a Wookiee cleanup. This is probably one of my more... No, I don't think this worked. I was hoping this would work. I don't think this worked. We'll let this play out so you can see what happens. Here's what I was thinking. The damage increases as the health and protection pool increases with Tarrful. Or at least the health pool increases with Tarrful. And I thought eventually we were going to get enough offense stacking that it was going to take out Crew, because he doesn't have stat boosts like Tarrful does. So I thought, given enough time, given enough of a clock, we're going to win this thing. And that does not happen. I'm pretty surprised it didn't. But you can see that we just never do enough. Kind of don't even want to spend the time watching this match. But we're going to do it. I guess we're going to return to ranting about the Oscars. Here's what I want. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but this is what I want. I want the Oscars to actually reflect what movies are good or important and what we will think about them in 5 years, 10 years. We should be able to look back on that and see it as an accurate reflection of the things that matter. And I think to a large degree we can know that in the moment. Not always, but in the moment, I think there's a good amount of people who have a feel for it. I don't think making the Oscars more accessible and mainstream would improve them. I think it weakens them. It might mean for 1 year or 2 years, like when we had this whole Dark Knight moment. Now, The Dark Knight's maybe not the best example because that's an actually good movie worthy of that recognition. But there's other movies that are not worthy of Oscar recognition. Like, maybe a better example is like Avengers Infinity War and stuff. That's not an Oscar movie. It was good for what it was. It was nothing special. Or even like, yeah, it's just this effort to try and make things accessible waters down the product more. It gives you less reason to take it seriously. It gives you more reason to disregard what is there. And I don't want that. And I think as I became older and became more and more aware of how terrible some of the Oscar decisions were, that's when I got disillusioned with it and stopped paying as much attention to it. And I kind of miss when I was younger and I cared. When I was younger and I would watch every nominee. And it's just, I don't know, you hit a point, you learn a little bit more, and it's not as good. All right, we do Inquisitors here. This I keep wanting to work, but whenever it works, it's because there's crons. It works when Inquisitors have crons. And now that they don't have any unaligned Force user crons, it's not working. And you don't need a level 9 ability. Just a level 6 Inquisitor cron is usually enough for this to be a gas counter. And this was a major waste, because what I didn't consider is I could have two-shot JML. What I really needed this match was to have planned things out. And because I didn't do my advanced scouting and my advanced planning on how I wanted to take on this defense, I get stuck. It's not just some of those teams crashing, but it's like, even if I would have beaten like the JML squad, I would have gotten stuck behind Starkiller because I didn't have a Starkiller counter at this point. And had I planned this out, what I would have realized is I could have two-shot the JML squad by doing Jedi Knight Revan, who's still available. I could have Jedi Knight Revan'd, taken out Watt. Because here, this is a waste. Am I really going to do this? This is a waste. Like, I'm just floundering at this point. Yeah, this is a complete and utter waste. I'm just hoping the crons make a difference at this point, which is a reckless choice. But what I should have done, Jedi Knight Revan, take out Watt. Then I could have used Grand Inquisitor to take out JML. That would have worked, and I've done that tons of times in the past. That used to be how I handled it. But it's because, like, Sith Eternal Emperor is this kind of crutch where it's just so easy you kind of go for it. And I forgot one of my ways to deal with a Bast Elite JML is to just two-shot with Jedi Knight Revan and Inquisitor. And that would have been effective. And what that would have done is it would have allowed me to retain Sith Eternal Emperor to take out Starkiller. And had I done a little advanced scouting, I would have prepared like a gas counter. Because gas is gonna clean me up. I'll be able to clean up gas after this, but that was never how I should have approached it. Like, this was a full clear. I just could not find the full clear. There was no reason I shouldn't have been able to find it. I just couldn't. Does this work? I think this worked, because we're about to run out of video. Yeah, we throw down a couple armor shreds, get a hit, and we are good. But we're also pretty much done. I don't have anything for this, and this video is about to end. I'm gonna give up. Yeah, I've come to the realization that I am now no longer going to be able to clear this board, even though it was clearable had I approached things differently. And the Jawas don't ruin the Jawas. I still think I get stuck even without the Jawas being involved, just because of some of the choices. I think there were larger issues within this match and how I approached it. Now, I do feel like I got a little bit away with one in this match, although I think I probably could have won regardless, because he didn't really have a Leia counter. He put a lot of firepower on the defense defense. And he still had Jabba though, so he may have been able to get, or no, wait, no he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have Jabba or JMK or JML, so I don't think he had a way through Leia. He did, and he didn't have Malgus. So his SLKR was probably going to struggle up against Leia. Although maybe he would have been able to pick her apart had he made the attempts. But he only throws in the minimum battle, so I walk away with a default win. But it is one that I do have a lot of regret about because I do think I should have and could have full cleared had I thought about this one a little bit more in advance. But we are still alive, and I think I have a real shot at a 3-0 week, and that is the goal. We're going to try and make it happen. It probably is going to mean for a rough week 2 and week 3 like we saw during last season of Grand Reno, where I did get a 3-0 week to start out, but I'll live with that. Even though, yeah, whatever. We'll get going. Comeuppance video, other videos. We'll see. I'm working through a lot of deadlines right now, so it's something. More videos will be forthcoming. I just gotta get through deadlines, and then we'll get into a higher output. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.